Oh man, it's 10 minutes with Barb and Ron. It's my favorite time of the week. It really is. And well, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and introduce things, and then you can introduce yourself, Barb. We're going to get right to it today, that's for sure. It's kind of funny because in my area, if you drive down the road, sometimes you can see some Amish, and they're like framing a building. And that's the first thing they do. They frame the building before they build the rest of it. And Barb, I think we kind of forgot to frame universal design for learning for folks. So go ahead. Start us off with everything.
Awesome. Hey everyone, Barb Green. Thanks for joining in on 10 minutes. So Ron and I were chatting a little bit about where we are with our series and how it's going. And we had a big aha moment that, we started this out of our love for UDL. And then we realized, we really never talked about, well, what is UDL? And so if somebody just stumbles upon our videos and they don't have any background knowledge, like we have forgotten one of the basic UDL principles is provide or activate some background knowledge. So we thought that we would do that today. Framing the house, so to speak, that was great, Ron. That's exactly what we're trying to do is frame the house. So, and we'll provide resources for you that you can go deeper, but we just thought we better back up and talk a little bit about what UDL is and all about. And so I was talking to somebody today, Ron, this morning, and they were thinking about when they first heard about UDL. And when Cass first started talking about it, they were really talking about a lot of assistive technology for students, maybe with more significant needs, and how to get them engaged and how really, when you think about it, it has evolved over the years. And so when you think about, and you're in the UDL Center at OCALI, this is your gig, this is what you do all the time. When you think about UDL and you want to give an elevator pitch, just a brief little summary about what UDL is, what do you say?
Well, I'll tell you what, Barb, I'm glad you asked that. And I'm thinking about one of our past recordings that we did where we think about the framework and representation. So I'm going to point right about here. And I'm hoping later when the video comes out, there's actually a cartoon. And you know which cartoon I'm thinking about? It's the cartoon of the guy shoveling the walk.
Yeah.
So I'm going to add that right where I pointed to this video. If I have learned how to do that yet, I will try. And it'll magically appear. But you know what? That cartoon's always been pretty cool where, the guy's out there and he's shoveling the steps and the little guy in the wheelchair says, if you'd shovel the ramp, then we could all get in instead of, one or two or three having to wait for the ramp to be shoveled. So that's kind of a neat visual, and it'll be coming, right? It should be there right now, actually, as I'm talking. It should already be there. We'll find out later. But yeah, it's access. It's about access for everyone. And that is truly what shows the difference between that and other things. What do you think of, Barb?
Well, first of all, I just want to validate. I love that cartoon because I've had so many people. It talks about the power of a visual, right? So in so many trainings, I've had people that look at that and they're like, oh, of course, that makes so much sense. And they'll even say things like, I'm shoveling the ramp in the next lesson I design, So it helps people provide that visual. And so I think about one of the biggest takeaways for me in thinking about the why of UDL is that everything that we're doing as we're designing instruction is toward the goal of creating expert learners. And I love that because I think that differentiates that framework. And Ron, you got to quit dancing around or I'm going to get a little dizzy.
Sorry.
No, you're great. You're fine. But I think it differentiates from some of the other frameworks because the goal is really about creating these learners who understand themselves, they understand the goal, they know where they're going, they know how to get there, they know what helps them. And sometimes we lose that in some of our UDL trainings. And we have to keep that at the forefront, that everything we're doing in our design is so that kids can reach that goal and know what helps them get to that goal, whether it's an academic goal, a social goal, a job goal. It doesn't really matter what the goal is. So to me, that's a huge point we have to think about, is that creating expert learners.
It is. And people talk about the elevator statement, right? Well, I've been on vacation before and people have asked me on the elevator, well, what do you do? Yeah. It's like, okay, well, I've got like 5 seconds. So I just very quickly say, you know what? Think about those students that had a hard time with the curriculum and people felt that student was broken. Well, in Universal Design for Learning, we feel if something's broken, it's the curriculum and not the student. And they're like, oh, wow, that would have helped me so much when I was a student. If I just only known that maybe it wasn't me and it was how it was delivered or something, So,
right.
We can keep simplifying it or saying, but how about that difference between differentiation and UDL? Isn't that a question you get a lot too?
It is, right. And that's why I think that the proactive nature, so that word proactive to me is what the UDL framework asks us to do, is to think about things ahead of time. And, differentiation sometimes, now I'm not going to say all the time, but sometimes differentiation has happened after the fact. Like, we tried something and it didn't work for kid A, B, and C, so we go try something different for them. And UDL is just asking us to think about all your learners and all the variability that could exist, even if somebody new moves in tomorrow. What could exist and how can you proactively be ready for that? So that the differentiation doesn't have to happen, after the fact, or teachers get overwhelmed sometimes about thinking about all the different kinds of things that they have to do. I've got this kid and that kid and that kid. Just design it from the get-go. Just provide all those different variabilities or flexibilities, and it'll save time in the end. Save time in the end.
And I think I've heard some teachers or state support system folks say, do your best teach first.
Right.
You do the best teach first. Don't hold it back for later. Do the best one the first time. And then hopefully there won't be a later. It won't have to be a later. So.
Right.
Those are great.
Right.
Those are great.
It reminds me of that one poster. Yeah. And what you said reminds me of that poster where the best tier 3 is a great tier 1. Right.
Oh,
and
wow.
Basically saying what you just said in a different way, that if we do tier 1 solid and firm and we reach all of the needs of our learners, then we don't have to add additional tiers of support on. It's going to decrease the number of kids we have to add those additional tiers of support on. So, it just gets so, I bet we're about out of time because, UDL is, I could just talk about it for hours and hours. But, I think in summary from me, if we think about how is it that what we are doing as teachers is helping our learners become expert learners, that the guidelines and the points are hints and clues about what we could do to help that happen. And that's my little summary.
Oh, you did a great summary. So you didn't leave me with a whole lot. So I'm going to go back to, you said it, expert learner. I love that. I just love the way you said that. And that would be what I would want to end with also. I'm going to add a little piece to the relationship piece because this would have affected me when I was younger. I like the fact that I can be successful the first time. If the environment and the curriculum and all the different things are set up that I can be successful the first time as a student, then that's going to give me a whole lot of motivation to continue and self-confidence. And that's what I needed as a kid. And that's what a lot of our kids need. So with that said, Ron's out.
And that was beautifully said, and I agree with it, and Barb's out. See you guys next time.
YouTube, please subscribe. Like, comment, and share.